Kiki's Delivery Service, originally released in Japan in 1989 and then brought to the States in 1997. It was Miyazaki's ode to teenager girls as they find independence and resilience. I'm embarrassed to admit that the last time I watched Kiki's Delivery Service was over 10 years ago as an elementary student. The only place that you could watch this movie was by physically going to your local Blockbuster and renting it on DVD. The good old days. That's why when I found out that my local NYC movie theater screens Kiki's Delivery Service once a year during the summer, I had to go. I felt watching this movie was the perfect way of spending my last free summer break before entering the workforce. Returning to this movie as a now legal adult, this movie hit me in a different way. Once I got past the nostalgia, the cat Gigi's antics, and being slightly amused from spectators' initial reactions of seeing Kiki soaring across the sky, this movie really reminded me of my coming-to-age story in New York City. When Kiki first flew into the European setting of a big city, it instantly reminded me of when I first arrived in New York City as an 18-year-old, peeping out of a NYC cab window, mesmerized by the 80 feet tall LED screens at Times Square. As the movie progressed, different themes reminded me of my 4 years spent in college. When Kiki was juggling between working at the bakery and her delivery service, it reminded me of the times where I was working multiple jobs to make ends meet, which was ultimately an endeavor that got me burnt out like Kiki because I felt underappreciated and overworked. I related 100% to when Kiki caught a fever after flying around all night in the rain. Being sick away from home was 10 times worse without your mother's presence and her home-cooked porridge to make you feel better. However, the part of the movie that had the biggest impact on me was when Kiki was at her lowest. She lost her witch's magic and she could no longer verbally communicate with her best friend Gigi. Kiki decides to take a break from work and spend the day with Ursula, a painter who lives in a cabin deep in the woods. Ursula essentially links Kiki's magic to her painting and creativity. She reassures Kiki, telling her that she would get over this writer's block under the proper circumstances. This whole sequence reminded me of the time where nothing was going right for me in life. I got rejected by over 50 companies, my grades were dropping, and I was losing my creative juices in terms of YouTube. It wasn't until I stopped feeling sorry for myself where I found a great breakthrough in life. I feel that Kiki went through a similar internal transformation. She stopped feeling bad for not fitting in with the other normal girls in the city. She stopped feeling bad for not feeling appreciated at her work. Most importantly, she stopped feeling sorry for not losing the very identity of being a witch and losing her magic. When these feelings of entitlement went away, both me and Kiki was finally able to find breakthrough. When the movie ultimately finished, I had to sit in my seat for a few extra minutes to process what I just watched. On a technical side, Kiki's Delivery Service hit everything out of the park. It had beautiful music scores, aesthetically pleasing hand-painted backgrounds inspired by Stockholm, Sweden, and such finely detailed, traditionally drawn scenes that you wonder how it was possible without any CGI. Like, there's this one 4-second scene from Howl's Moving Castle where it took 1 year to hand draw. That just shows you the extent of Studio Ghibli's professionalism when it comes to producing these films. However, apart from the flawless composition of this movie, there was also emotions of sadness running through me. Finishing this movie felt like saying goodbye to my childhood. It can be compared to when Andy was going out to college in Toy Story 3. It really sunk in for me. I am no longer a child. I have to do things such as paying for my water bill, paying for my electricity bill, and I have to make ends meet like all the other adults in this world. Watching this film is a reminder that physically, I cannot return to my childhood. However, just the reason why I feel like people go to Disneyland or flock to the theaters when a new Marvel movie comes out, I feel like Ghibli films such as Kiki's Delivery Service provides a safe haven for our childhood innocence and creativity. As my last summer break, a symbol of adolescence itself, ends and I join this rat race of New York City, I'm not sure where life will take me. It is very plausible I become one of those jaded salarymen tired of the 9 to 5 routine. It is very possible I completely lose my freedom and enthusiasm, which is closely tied to my childhood. But I pray that I may never get to that point, and if I do, I will remember to turn back to films such as Kiki's Delivery Service to be reminded that life doesn't need to be so bland and serious. Thank you Kiki's Delivery Service and Studio Ghibli for the perfect ending to my childhood.